So Marinol Mechanical is an automotive repair business. It's been in operation since 2006. We are part of the Repco Authorised Service Network, which is a nationwide network of independently owned businesses. And we're also an RACQ roadside contractor, so we run a tow truck and a patrol car 24/7. So we're based in St George. St George is about 550 kilometres from west of Brisbane, directly west. So we're just over the New South Wales border in Queensland. And the town of St George has a population, I'm not sure, I think of about 2,300, and then the shire that it resides in, which we serve, has a population of about 5,500. Why did we start the business? Okay, my husband had a contract cotton harvesting business, and yet again we were at the end of about 3 years of drought, and we'd refinanced equipment I think twice, and he just knew that he had to find something that was more sustainable. So he'd never actually had formal trade qualifications, so he went to work for the business that we own now in order to have his experience sort of recognised and gain a trade qualification. And within 12 months he bought a half share of that business. In 2 years we bought out the business owners, and that's how we started. As a young and very underdeveloped business, we reached out to lots of opportunities, whether they were state government, local government, community or industry type organisations, training providers, formal and informal training, lots of professional development opportunities. So it's very hard for me to really pinpoint one organisation. The other thing I would say is that in our business we've tried to encourage a culture of continuous learning. So whenever there is an opportunity for any of our team to grow and learn, we really try to really reach out and take that opportunity. Barriers for us, or challenges, would be drought. That always slows progress and means you have to, I guess, downsize or scale back, temporarily. I struggle to think of other barriers because, I guess when we started in sort of 2006, 2007, we didn't ever really see distance as a barrier. We would, travel to Brisbane, jump on a plane to Melbourne or wherever the training was that we wanted to sort of attend. And then, okay, you could say, well, then time becomes a barrier. But I guess as young, enthusiastic business owners, we didn't value our time, so we just simply invested what we needed to get where we needed to be. In terms of enablers to success, again, a good question. I think definitely the networks that we've tapped into over the years that have enabled us to just be on this continuous learning sort of journey. And certainly I have noticed over the years that there have been, we're very lucky in this country with the number of learning opportunities we have that are provided through, whether it's community networks or industry networks or, state government. We are very well, I think, sort of provided for. So, and as I said before, we sort of sort out all those opportunities. And I think too, in our growth, we've really relied on the RACQ network and the Repco Authorised Service Network, because there's networks that are so relevant to us and that are full of other businesses like us who we can learn from. And we have actively, sought the really successful businesses in those two networks and been to visit them wherever they may be, and then aim to sort of learn from them and improve ourselves from them. We do have the NBN, and we actually have a really fantastic IT service, provider or manager, I guess, based in Chinchilla, and the fact that they're 300 kilometres away doesn't bother us at all, because they manage all of our IT 24/7 remotely. We started working with them maybe 7 years ago, and there's a guarantee in place that we will never lose more than half an hour of data because of the way that we're set up. I guess we had to go that way because we ourselves aren't IT gurus, and we needed our business to be, and all of its records and all of its resources to be absolutely rock solid, and we had to manage that risk that, if computer hardware failed, we couldn't take the risk of being weeks or without data. So I guess we just handed over that responsibility to experts, and we're happy to pay for that because it's so fundamental and so integral and just part of running our business. We're very much still learning. I've really been probably trying to reach out and find great young people who'll do it for me, but ultimately, for one reason or another, it ends up, with me slogging back in and doing it at times. The reason we're really pursuing it is because of our the travellers who pass through St George, who are part of our customer database, and we've really noticed probably in the last 2 years that when we ask travellers, how did you find us, which we ask when they're booking in, years ago they would say, we saw an ad in the visitor information catalogue or guide, or we saw, the visitor information centre referred us, or whereas these days they really say to us, we found you, we Googled and we found you online. And so the reality is that we have to be very good, I guess, but with managing our online presence across, Google and Facebook, so that we're still capturing that travelling public. And then secondly, we're trying to develop our online presence and our social media presence because we lost, or St George lost, the local newspaper, the Bullon Beacon, a couple of years ago, and to be honest, it had been deteriorating in the couple of years prior to that because it was no longer locally managed. We're really looking for the replacement for that vehicle, and I don't think social media has necessarily completely replaced that just yet. I think we have a lot of our older demographic are still trying to learn about it, just like me. So it's just a watch this space. I think it really is just still a learning curve for us. In a small town, we've observed that as soon as we take videos of team in our workshop, we immediately increase engagement. Being very old school and a bit older myself, I struggle with that because I don't like exposing our team to marketing our business, because I know that they have personal lives, and when they leave at 5 o'clock they're entitled to be separate from the business. So I choose not to actually tag our team in business clips and photos. However, I know just simply putting their face there does mean in a small town you then get a lot more engagement. I have tried and am still trying to get engagement in other ways. Probably by asking questions. At time, just a couple of times we have run little competitions and offered little prizes to get some engagement. And I think certainly as soon as we do something that's a little bit out of the square, or that has some humour, or quite a bit of humour, that's how. Or the other thing would be of a really community nature, that where you're really sort of linking in with something that's very popular and going on in the community. That's when I see that we really get good engagement. Real Rural Digital Solutions is a great example of programs that come to us lucky people out here in St George, and it would definitely be a very major component and recently responsible for my learning in that sort of IT and social media space. And I guess leading up to that, it's again through all the networks that we have, whether it's through the Repco Authorised Service Network or the RACQ network, or whether it's state government, training programs. I guess for the last probably 10 years, there've been little tiny snippets, interwoven into all of those programs about social media and the digital space. So I guess it's been just a continuous learning. Certainly owning a business in a small rural town has its own unique set of challenges. And yes, we recognised a long time ago that we grew our business rapidly in probably the first 5 years, and then we really plateaued and it was at that point we had a lot of thinking about whether we should actually then move east to a bigger population where we could grow the business even further. And we chose, and we revisit that question occasionally, but ultimately it comes back to a lifestyle decision that we love what a small rural community offers our family, and we choose this lifestyle, I guess, over a metropolitan lifestyle. So yes, while there are unique challenges to running a small business in a small western town, I guess we've ultimately decided that those challenges are worth it for the lifestyle that we enjoy. With the town population really dwindling with the drought that really lasted for sort of 2018 and 2019, and then running straight into a slower economy with COVID, the population of town has been, yes, depressed or lower, and we have found, or we know that it's not easy to attract skills just when we need them. Can be a slow a slow process. Probably the small population living out here does mean that at times we can't just easily attract the right people to our business. And the flip side of that is that when we do enter an economic downturn, we know that we can't just reduce team hours or reduce staff numbers. Not that we want to actually for social reasons, but we also know that we have to hang on to those people because they are our business and we need them when the economy picks up again. So it's just one of the, I guess, just the attributes of running a small business in a small rural town. I think I have been, possibly for a few reasons. I think, firstly, I grew up in on a property outside a small rural town. So I've grown up probably with a very good understanding of the culture of rural communities. Secondly, my tertiary study was actually in the area of agribusiness. So again, I was tertiary educated, but in a field that is very related to where we live now. I think as much as I knew nothing about, and I actually had really no interest in the automotive industry whatsoever, I think because I've brought so many other skills to that business in terms of business management and marketing and human resource management, that I felt very comfortable in those industry networks, using the skills that I can sort of offer. And I guess I've just never claimed that I know anything about cars. I leave that up to all the technicians in our workshop. So I think I guess I've just worked out a way that's been quite successful in meaning that me as a female, and I mean 15 years ago, I was a younger female, I guess could be accepted in a male-dominated industry. In a small town, yes, word of mouth is very important, and yes, working out how to use social media to promote that and to manage it where necessary, I think is a bit of a skill or a bit of a trick. So yes, no, definitely word of mouth is important, and it's something I actually often really think about, because I do wonder whether sometimes social media is more important and more necessary perhaps in cities where, and I questioned, is word of mouth as powerful in cities as it is in country towns? But then when I network at our, the national conferences, I do find that word of mouth is actually still important in cities you know, in some way. So it's an interesting sort of discussion topic. The internet, I guess, has been, you know, growing over the last 15 years to the point now where we can't operate without it. I mean, we're everything that we access is out there in cyberspace, and you know, all of our data is backed up out there in cyberspace, and it does have so many advantages. My husband and I like to travel away a lot, and at any time and place we can log in and not only visually see exactly what's happening in our business, but we can also access all of our software to see exactly what's happening at any time in our business. So, and then social media, so we can't, yes, operate without it, I guess, from just a business management perspective now. And then how important is social media? Well, I think in our the aspect of it, or the part of our business that we target travellers, it's really, really growing now. All those grey nomads are becoming internet savvy, and we've noticed that in the last couple of years. And then locally, yes, the locals are also moving that way. So it's just a growing, a growing sort of area for us that we just need to get very good at. Our social media has possibly been a little bit quieter, or I've allowed it to be a little bit quieter with COVID, because we haven't had the travelling clientele, which we would normally be really trying to, or in the last couple of years we've tried to be quite active, you know, for that part of our business. And again, I think because the little town economy has been relatively quiet this year with COVID, again, I've probably, you know, allowed it to just be a little bit quieter than we may have otherwise. Interestingly, with COVID, we did have two sort of large corporate clients who stepped in and really needed our services in volume, and which was wonderful. So while we had the local clientele, the mums and dads around town, you know, really not travelling anywhere, therefore not using our services, and the travellers weren't travelling much, we had a couple of big corporates that, for their own reasons, had to all of a sudden have big fleets brought up to scratch because of COVID, and that enabled us to, you know, be quite, you know, be constantly turning over during those probably 3 months of where COVID was the most significant in town. And those two corporate clients, I guess we don't really rely on social media to target or manage. They're very much targeted and managed through, you know, one-on-one interactions with the management of those two businesses. We certainly had to change things in the short term with COVID. For example, with our RACQ roadside assistance, we were always very cautious about the fact that we did not know who our technicians were going out to meet on the road. We didn't know if those people would be travelling from states, you know, from interstate, and they may or not be have done the quarantine that they should have done. So we certainly had to, in the short term, introduce a lot of measures in terms of personal protective equipment and the way we manage those situations. So that was very much at the coalface and in the short term, in the thick of COVID. In the long term, probably from a management perspective, it's just a really good reminder that I think we've become good at managing droughts out here, and my husband always talks about dry powder, and by dry powder he means how much cash do we have ready to fund this business if we have to for a period of time, you know, because of drought. So it's very much about risk management, and I think that ability to be ready for whatever comes held us in good stead with COVID, because I know my husband was commenting that as COVID unravelled, that he felt that we were so lucky, and that we'd already done this. We knew how to do this because of droughts, and, you know, he just felt that a lot of the businesses in the metropolitan areas probably hadn't done the amount of coaching we'd done and hadn't had to learn about having dry powder and having the ability to fund your team and fund your business if circumstances change and the trading environment becomes very difficult. So I guess longer term, it's just a good reminder that the unexpected can happen and you need to be ready for it. The one that comes to mind right now is not local community, but it's the Movember cause, and our technicians every year, for the last 4 years, have participated in Movember, and so it is a great little month for me to learn how to sort of tap into all the wonderful resources that are already out there, for that cause. At a local level, our team have been involved in the local triathlon, which is called Battle on the Ballon, which runs each March. This year it was actually shut down didn't happen because of COVID. But usually we use social, the last probably 3 years prior to that, we did use social media a lot from sort of the end of January through February until the end of March, because we were really promoting and supporting Battle on the Ballon, and each week our team would meet on a Friday morning to do this team training session for our triathlon teams, and so we'd have photos of us all down at the river and on bikes, and every week there'd be something different. We'd go to the coffee shop and get a coffee and then tag the coffee shop. So that was a really nice community activity that was going on, spanning a couple of months, where certainly social media was really useful to encourage other businesses in the community to get involved and just, say some nice sort of gratitudes and nice things about some of the businesses that we were interacting with and doing that. We have been looking for marketing services to help us with managing all of our, social media and web presence, and we've had some great assistance for short periods of time. We haven't managed to find sort of an ongoing long-term service that might just sort of manage that and do that for us. And probably one of the challenges there is we would love that service to be actually based locally, so that they could just pop into the premises occasionally to do a little bit of videoing, or just to be a little bit a part of the team culture and just have a feel for the team. So that's sort of a work in progress, and while I'm very happy to use service providers that are located in other places, and we have and we do, it would be really nice if we could find someone locally, and I think there's a great opportunity for that here. In terms of other services, probably, we've used quite a number of different business coaches over the years. We've managed to do quite a bit of, going back 10 years ago, we would have phone sessions. Okay, now you can do Skype and Zoom and those things, but we've always managed to access, I think, a lot of professional services, even technical training for our boys, particularly through our REPCO and RACQ networks. We've managed to do that over the years, from moving from 15 years ago, very much an external study mode, through to, maybe some phone support, through to now, online webinars and, Zoom sessions and whatever. So I guess that's come a long way. I think, we've always managed to seek what we need in some form, and it's just that form is just evolving and getting better. I think there's no doubt about it, we have to learn to embrace it and use it. It's just about prioritising time to do that, and I think there's probably great opportunity to use young people to do this for us and manage this space for us. The challenge is just to find those keen young people who want to step in and do it for us. And I guess, again, I'm aware there are a lot of resources now that are available online in terms of tutorials and things to help us do this. I guess I'm just old-fashioned in that I love to learn in a one-on-one type learning environment, and it's about prioritising time. And once I leave the formal workshop or the formal coaching session, I tend to struggle then to find time to go and do the online training that is, I know is there. It's just about prioritising, and lots of competing priorities when you're an owner of a small business. Real Rural Digital Solutions has been excellent for our business for a couple of reasons, and that is that the program has allowed trainers to actually come to us here in St George, and I think that face-to-face contact is just so much more impactful than having to do things remotely. Real Rural Digital Solutions has also then opened us to other networks, which has, for example, I was able to then tap into a young uni student who was working in this space, which was just an added benefit of networking with people that do this. Again, Real Rural Digital Solutions came to us, and we didn't actually have to pay anything for it. It was just my time, and I can't be grateful and thank the funding providers enough for that. It's I guess we've been very willing as a business to pay for lots of training and coaching over the years, and when it comes to free of charge, it's an absolute a blessing. So we really would like to thank Real Rural Business Digital Solutions for bringing what they have to the St George community.